So today we have a Frenchman terrorising Europe and we have a canal being dug. What more could you want? The year was 1810. A wee Frenchman with a funny hat was terrorising Europe and had been for 14 years. Napoleon Bonaparte looked invincible and that didn't look like it was about to change. England needed a solution and they needed it now. There have been over 40 wars in about 750 years between the English and the French. That rivalry was massive and it didn't look like those wars were about to stop anytime soon. The mighty British Navy was the biggest in the world at the time. They had over 900 ships and a lot of these ships launched from Portsmouth, where some of its greatest victories and some defeats came from. Now they needed to get goods from London down to Portsmouth and the only option was to take it by horse and cart, and that was slow, it was painful. The goods they could carry were very small in amount because of the rough roads. So they had to either take it that way or take it around the coast. Now the French, although with a much smaller navy, they were still terrorising the south coast and sinking ships. So change was needed, and it was still 20 years away from the age of the railways, where the first steam-driven railway opened on the Liverpool and Manchester route. The 3rd Earl of Ergmont had an idea, and this was an idea that first been mooted in 1641, and that was to build a canal to join the River's Way and the River Arun. In 1810, he brought this idea back. The proposal was an 18.5-mile long canal, this one behind me, linking the two rivers, being able to carry 30 tonnes per ship. This would give a link down to the Arundel Canal and a link into Portsmouth and help change the course of the war. Did it defeat Napoleon? No. Well, quite frankly, no. Unfortunately for the people building the canal, Napoleon had carried on his march all through Europe and he had carried on into Russia, even briefly taking Moscow. But in 1813, he was defeated and pushed back through Europe. After heavy retreat, this led to his abdication in 1814, with a very brief return in 1815. But his canal didn't open until September 1816, meaning the canal was already pointless when it was first built. Unlike many of its northern counterparts, the canal didn't serve any industry. It had been built through countryside and didn't really hit any major towns on the way down. Where the northern canals could push goods on and even help build the railways, this had no real purpose, it had no real use and struggled from day one. And this is the second of the Birtley Bridges, and this is a 900-metre section of canal that's in water. Work began in 2019 to restore the canal and the two bridges, the first one being at the start of this video. The work was completed in 2023, with large sections of the work being done by the Way and Arun Canal Trust, volunteers and groups like Waterway recovery groups, part of the Inland Waterways Association, and groups like KESCRG, who travel the whole country doing amazing stuff on the canal network. After Napoleon's defeat, Britain and France became allies and have remained so for 200 odd years. That's amazing to think of when there was 750 years of war before that. And that survived several minor disagreements on the continent, including the one with the mustachioed man with a bad temper who succumbed to lead poisoning in his bunker in 1945 and has built the foundations for most of Europe since. The continent changed massively in those 200 years, from German imperialism to the Soviet Union, and now unfortunately sits at war again. So did Napoleon's defeat this canal? Well, it was a big part of it, but it wasn't the only part of it. And right ahead of us here, we have the Cranley Railway. This linked Guildford and Horsham, and it opened in 1865 and took what little trade the Way and Arun had. It was just so quick on the railways. It took days for a boat to run goods down the Way and Arun to the Arundel and across to Portsmouth, a journey that took just hours by rail with a much, much larger capacity. So in 1871 the canal closed. It was 55 years of poor trade and bad luck, and the canal was given back to the original landowners, the locks removed, the land returned to farmland. So it was 99 years before anyone really looked at this canal again. In 1970, work started to restore this canal. It was slow at first, and it took years to really pick up speed, but over the last few years lots has been done, even more is planned. About a third of this canal is now worked on, either full of water or having substantial work. So let's jump up and over this bridge now and see the latest site being done by the Way and Arun Canal Trust and meet one of the travelling groups, KESCRG, to see what's happening. So here we are at the bridge. This is the start of the works. This is phase one of the works. This is split into three phases. Phase one, Phase 2 is ahead of me, which is going to be a new lock, and Phase 3 is right behind me, which is going to join this bit of canal up to Birtley Bridges. Now there's an embankment just going in and behind us because there's a track just there, which was the old route. Now the old route cannot be followed because they couldn't get permission to dig that track up. It's still used as access. So there's a slight diversion around the side of it. It's literally a few meters over, it's not very far at all. That took a bit of planning to get through, obviously, but that's now all here and the work has started. And as you can see in front of me, they are starting to dig. You can probably hear the diggers all long before I said that. Now this is the site of the bridge right here, and if you look in, you can kind of see the square where there's going to be basically a concrete pad put down. That's going to have to go down about another metre, I'd say, because you might be able to see, let me see if I can zoom this for you, just in here there's a red peg and there's another one just over there, and then there's two more over there. That is the top of the concrete slab that needs to be poured to make this canal bed. So at the moment they're digging out the access just over there, and that's going to be a ramp down in. Now behind the digger just there is the original canal. So it's literally just coming off a slight kick here and going around there. And like I said, the old line is just there, where that Portaloo is there, that would have been a canal. Now this would have originally have been a swing bridge here. They just don't have the space for it now, the way it's all moved. So this is going to be a solid bridge going in now. But there is an interesting story from here, which we'll go down and have a look at now.
Hi, I'm Gordon Powell from the Way and Arun Canal Trust, and I'm standing at our Rooks Hill project site. Rooks Hill is a new project for us that is just getting underway, where we hope to restore another 800 metres of our canal in Surrey, connecting to the Birtley Bridges section that was restored and completed in 2023. Behind me you can see the excavation underway to build a new bridge here at Rooks Hill, and that's the first phase of our project, as well as reinstating the canal channel, which was largely filled in this area.
And look at this for a bit of hidden history. This deck here is the old deck, well, a steel bit of it is at least anyway, of the old swing bridge that used to be back where we just were. So this was moved down here to create the footpath around. You can still see it's got the old original bars on here, look, away from that sort of pole fence in there. That's a big bit of cast iron there. It's pretty cool that this still exists all its time later. Now, like I say, there's not enough room to put the swing bridge back up there, but at least it still survives and is a piece of structure that survives the canal over 200 years later. So let's take a walk back up and see what they've done during the day, and see what's going to happen over the next few months.
We will connect up to the existing Birtley Bridge section to the north, and to the south we will connect into the existing canal channel, and in time, in the next phase, we will construct a new lock on the original site of Fainsbridge Lock. We then will submit a further planning application for our next project that will continue the expansion to the south.
That heap's got a bit bigger. We've got Adrian up there in the digger. He's from the Lichfield Canal Trust and is one of the best drivers you'll meet. He's making that more workable. So you can see he slopes it up now, which means they'll start dumping it higher, bring it all the way back and keep doing that so they can use that there as an access ramp. Work down here has progressed as well. They've dug right back to the canal bed now. They're not quite breaching through. I don't think that's the plan today. They're digging it out now so they can make a slope and an access down into there. That should be finished, I think, today. So there's several weeks of work camps happening down here in summer, where this will hopefully get this to a concrete base. So the volunteers, once this is all dug out, are going to make all the shuttering, put the rebar in that needs to be put in. They're then going to come and cast it on the first work party. And then over the next 2 week-long work camps, they're going to build the bridge up to its abutments, ready for the deck to go in across the top. And I will be covering that. And the reason for this video, apart from a nice talk about some disagreements in Europe and stuff, was to give an introduction to the Rooks Hill project and see what's happening really. Now this is going to take a good 2 years or so. Phase 1, they reckon this bridge is going to be in by summer next year, so about a year's time. Then phase 2 will start, which is down there for the locks, but they haven't got all the funding they need for this phase yet.
So if you'd like to support our work, consider joining us as a member at our website, or sign up as well to donate to our appeal that is raising money for this exciting project.
It's just amazing what volunteers can do. This is all volunteer led this weekend. There's a group of KESCRG, KESCO here, and there's another group down where we covered on the way in Arran before at Bonfire Hangar, where they're just doing a bit more towpath works up there. There was a bit of a problem with the stone that was brought in, it was too much clay in or something, and over the wet winter it kind of went a bit mushy. So they've just got a small section to redo down there. And these groups travel all over the country and they need your support, and they could do with your help as well. So if you want to come along and work on projects like this, they will teach you everything you need to know. You don't need a huge amount of experience to do any of this. So please do look in the description, find the links. There'll be one for KESCRG and one for WRG, which is the Waterway Recovery Groups, and they would love to have you come along and help them. So from the way in Arran, on a very hot, muggy day, I'm sorry if I've been a bit sweaty, have a great day.